In this section, we're going to be talking about mainly odds and expected value. Um, Now, you hear all the time about, the odds for something or the odds against something. You hear about it whenever they're talking about like lottery wins. You have the odds of winning are, you know, 200 and something million to one or something, some astronomical number like that. Um, but we hear that all the time. But what does that exactly mean? Well, there's a formal definition of odds, and that's listed out here. Let me try and put it in a more understandable way, something that will make a little bit more sense to us. The odds in favor of something happening is nothing more than the probability of success over the probability of non success. The odds against something happening would be the flip of that. It would be the probability of non success over the probability of success. Okay, this is really and truly what we need to know in order to be able to do odds. It's probability over probability. The probability of what you want over the probability of what you don't want. And that depends on whether you're doing odds in favor or odds against. So let's look at a couple of examples here so we can see what we're talking about. What are the odds in favor of drawing a face card from an ordinary deck of playing cards? Okay, well, we have to know a little bit about playing cards to begin with, and there are a lot of us that are unfamiliar with cards. So let's make sure that we understand, first of all, that there are how many face cards in an ordinary deck of cards? Well, even before that, how many cards are there in an ordinary deck of cards? There are 52. And face cards means king, queen, jack. There you have a king, a queen, and a jack in each of 4 suits. So there are actually 12 face cards in an ordinary deck of 52. So the probability of getting a face card would be 12 out of 52. Now remember, your odds are probability of success over not successful. So not successful would be not getting a face card. Well, if there are 52 cards and 12 of them are face cards, then that leaves 40 out of 52 to be non-face cards. That's our ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10s. Okay, so our odds would be our probability of success, which would be 12 out of 52, over our probability of non-success, which would be 40 out of 52. Now, if we were to invert and multiply, our 52s would cancel, so we would end up with 12 over 40. Now again, this will reduce down, and we should always reduce if possible. So let's see, 4 will go into both of these. 4 will go into 12 3 times, and 4 will go into 40 10 times. So that would be 3 to 10. Now we always write odds as something like this, 3 to 10. Because your odds are always comparing one thing to another. Now, what about the odds against drawing a face card? Well, if we're doing in favor of drawing a face card is what we just did. We want to do the opposite of that, or the odds against drawing a face card. So for this case, our odds would be the non-success over success. So in this case, it would be 40 out of 52 over 12 out of 52. And again, our 52s will cancel, so we're left with 40 over 12, and which will reduce down to 10 over 3, which would be 10 to 3. So now doesn't that make sense that if our odds for something and our odds against something would just be backwards of each other? They would just be the flip of each other. Let's see what else we need to talk about here. Again, and still sticking with odds, this says if the probability of a boy's being born is one half, so a boy being born is one half, and a family plans to have 4 children, what are the odds against having all boys? Wow. Okay, well, let's think about this. So if we want to have a have 4 boys, I should say, we need to look at the probability of that happening. So remember, our probability for each boy is one half. So that would be one half for the first boy. Probability would be one half for the second, one half for the third, and one half for the fourth. So that would be a total probability of 1 over 16. Now, not having 4 boys would be the exact opposite of that. So if 1 over 16 is the probability of having 4 boys, then the opposite of that are 15 out of 16. Remember, these have to add up to be 1. 15 out of 16 would be my probability of not having 4 boys. Okay, so now we're looking at the odds against. So I want not successes on top and successes on bottom. So 15 over 16 all over 1 over 16. Now my 16s will cancel, and we end up with 15 over 1 or 15 to 1. So my odds against having all boys are 15 to 1. Let's look at another one. If the probability of the event that randomly chosen household has a cat is 0.27, what are the odds against a chosen household having a cat? Okay, so having a cat is 0.27. The opposite of that would be not having a cat. And remember, these probabilities have to add up to be 1. So if you've got a 0.27 probability of having a cat, then that means you have to have a 0.73 probability of not having a cat, because they have to add up to be 1. Now I'm doing odds against, so that would be not success over success. So the probability of not success would be 0.73, not having a cat, over having a cat, which would be 0.27. Now if we multiply top and bottom by 100, we would end up with 73 over 27, and that will not reduce down any further. So our odds are 73 to 27. Our odds against choosing a house that has a cat. Let's try one more of these, and then we're going to move into expected value. This one says from a set of 8 marbles, 5 red and 3 white, we choose 1 at random. What are the odds in favor of choosing a red marble? Okay, so let's talk about our 2 scenarios here. We have a red marble, and we would have a not red marble. Alright, so if we have a set of 8 marbles, 5 of them are red and 3 are white, then we want to do our probability of getting a red marble first. So that would be 5 out of 8. The not red marble, or white, you could say they're white marbles, would be 3 out of 8. Now we want our odds in favor. So that means we want the red marble over the not red marble. So the red marble would be 5 over 8. The not red marble would be 3 over 8. Our 8s would cancel, and we would end up with 5 over 3, which in odds format would be 5 to 3.